kusoo dhawaada East Africa University jaamacaddu waxay idinta furtay macad cusub macadkaas oo lagu baran doono luqadaha Ingiriisida iyo Carabiga sidoo kale isla barnaamijkan waxaad ku arki doontaan lecture ku saabsan faa'iidada Ingiriisidu leedahay iyo muhiimadeeda waxaana idin soo jeedin doona lecture-kan mid kamid ah macallimiinta ajaanibka ee ka howlgali doona macadka.
Dear our fellow viewers, brothers and sisters outside there, this is East African University, ERIGAVO, Somaliland, and you're all most welcome. Well, we are introducing a new course at the university, which is English course. And I'll be sharing with you some of the views, some of the importances, some of the advantages of having English as a course in such a country where most of the population doesn't speak English. Most of the population use Somali language. So one of the reasons as to why we are going to be introducing this course is because English as a language, it is widely spoken across the globe. Since shortly I believe we shall have and I believe we are in a global village. So English is one of the most important language being used across the globe. And English language is used in businesses, is used by travelers across the globe. If you are travelers outside there, if you are doing business, entrepreneurs, most of them use English language. So I would like to show you how English is very important and very crucial to the university or to be taken as a course in such a country. Since it is widely spoken, we need the population, the Somali people, to also learn English language so that they can easily communicate with the outside world. So as I talked about the business issue, most of the entrepreneurs transacting businesses, they must know English. Reason being, doing business outside countries or doing business with business partners who are not mostly from Somalia, you need to know English. And how will you do business with them? That means you need to learn how to speak English so that you can transact businesses with business partners outside Somalia or outside in outside countries, because you can't do business within one country. Most of these transactions that I was talking about, there is emails. We have emails. We have reports, contacts. All these are being put in English. So if you don't know how to speak English, if you can't read English, if you can't communicate in English, that means you can't do business. When I come to employment opportunities, recently I was reading through the World Bank report that it wrote about Somaliland. They were saying that the youth, 75% of the youth in Somaliland are almost unemployed. But they are unemployed just because they can't compete on the jobs, let's say in United Nations. The reason being, English is one of the languages that is needed there. So it's one of the reasons as to why they can't compete there, compete for jobs. So since they can't compete for jobs, then we think or we suggest that they would be going in entrepreneurship. And going in entrepreneurship, if they can't speak English, that means it's also a challenge there. So we need to build them so that they can create, so that they can be able to create their future or their destiny. I'll talk about the travelers. Traveling from one country to the other. You need to know English since it is widely spoken, widely used everywhere. You need to know English because English is used across the globe. So if you are a traveler, you need to know English. That is one of the reasons as to why we have introduced this course to the university, so that we can equip our students, our generation, so that it can be able, or they can be able to acquire the skills of communication through English which skills will enable them to transact business and being good entrepreneurs across the globe. When we come to in academics, mostly like computers. I've never seen a computer in Somali language. I've never seen a computer in Spanish. Most of the computers are designed in English. So how will you do computer activities without knowing English? Because since this is a communication era and this is a modernized era, this is an era of internet. So using internet, that means you will need to know English. Without English, you can't use internet. Without English, you can't communicate. And if you can't communicate, you can't get what you want. If you can't get what you want, that means you can't live the life you feel you would like to live. So in order to live that kind of life, that means you need to be able to communicate. And the only way of communicating with those people that you will need help or you need assistance from, those are the people that they may not be around you, but the people outside or anywhere, that means you need to know English. And English is one of those languages that you'll need to acquire what you want. I talked about I would like to talk about the future and the generation. This goes to my fellow youth outside there. If you're a young man, if you want to achieve something in life, if you want to live a successful life, because our fathers did what they've done, did what they did, but we also as the youth, we have a role to play. How are you going to play this role? And how are you going to? That means we have to come together as the youth. And coming together, that means as Africans. And Africans, what language are we going to use to communicate? Are we going to use Somali? Are we going to use Luganda? Are we going to use Swahili? Probably it will be English. So since Africa has a hope and a dream of being a one state, that means it will need to have one language of communication. And I believe that language will be English. So in order for the youth to stand together, to come together as one person, so that we can do something, so that we can take Africa to the next level, we need to know English. And so that's the reason as to why you have to teach English across the globe, across Africa, across African countries. And to all our brothers and sisters who would wish to be part of this, please come and join us at East African University in ERIGAVO, Somaliland. You are most welcome. Thank you very much.